Hey everybody, listen, if you have found this video, then you're probably interested in probably one of two things. Either you're thinking about moving to beautiful Kansas City, and if you do that, you're thinking maybe a new home, new construction from the ground up might be for you. Or maybe you're already living in Kansas City. Welcome, hello. And you're thinking maybe your next house might be new construction. So either of those, this video, this channel, this playlist is for you. This playlist here is all about new construction in the Northland, and I'll talk more about that here in just a second. While I've been doing these new home construction in the Northland videos, I've noticed that I sort of have to answer the same question over and over. I want to talk about where it is in the city and all that kind of stuff. And so I decided, why don't I just do one overriding sort of an orientation video? And we're going to talk about what Kansas City looks like and the areas of town and the market and new construction and all that kind of stuff. And so you can watch the whole video from beginning to end if you want to. In fact, I encourage you to do so. It's chock full of really great information. But you'll notice down in the description, I have hyperlinked the different parts of the video. So if you live here in Kansas City and you don't care about all the first stuff I'm going to talk about what Kansas City looks like, then you can just skip down to that section by clicking in the description, and it should take you to that part of the video. So here's the deal. I'm a pretty good real estate agent. I'm not a great videographer and editor and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to make some blunders. And so just forgive me with all that. But what I'm going to try to do is make up for those blunders with just good, valuable information. See, there was one right there. So let's get started. First, I want to talk about just the general layout of Kansas City. So here is all of Kansas City, right? And so let's just start. We'll just go kind of sort of counterclockwise. So on the northwest part of Kansas City, we're in the Kansas side. So we have some dividers. We have state line that runs north-south through Kansas City, and we have the river that runs east-west. We also have I-70 that runs east-west, but that river and the state line is really a big divider here. I should say by geography. It really doesn't divide us at all. You hardly ever notice that you cross state line here. You do notice when you cross the river. But up on the northwest side of town is Kansas City, Kansas. I know we have two Kansas Cities. We have Kansas City, Kansas. We have Kansas City, Missouri. Now, Kansas City, Missouri is what everybody thinks about when they think of Kansas City. That's where the Royals are from Kansas City, Missouri. The Chiefs are Kansas City, Missouri. It's by far the largest city, much bigger than Kansas City, Kansas. So what most people think of Kansas City, although it's a region, and if you live in the Kansas side of Kansas City, even in Johnson County, you still consider yourself living in Kansas City. But Kansas City, Missouri is the real Kansas City, so to speak. That's what everybody thinks of. So up on the northwest side of town is Kansas City, Kansas. It's also called Wyandotte County. And the city and the county share a border. In fact, they share a government now. It's a consolidated government that runs both the city and the county. That is called Kansas City, Kansas. We call it KCK. We also call it Wyandotte because that's the name of the county. And, if you want to be colloquial, we call it the dot, particularly if you live there. We live in the dot. So that is that is Wyandotte. Far west side is really developing. That's where we have a major league soccer stadium over there. We've got a big giant automobile racetrack over there. Cabela's, a big shopping place over there called the Legends. Okay, that's KCK. Drop down below KCK, and we have what we call Johnson County. Now, it's Johnson County, Kansas. Generally considered more affluent part of Kansas City, generally. It is definitely on the other side of the state line. It's a county within Kansas. We call it JOCO. We call it Johnson County. There's a whole lot of cities that make up Johnson County. And there's, maybe you've heard of them, Overland Park, Lenexa, Olathe, Shawnee, Mission. All of those are over there. And that is considered KCK. Now, come back to the east a little bit. You cross state line. And now you're sort of in the core of Kansas City, right? We have downtown there. We have, as you go farther south, we have some of the older neighborhoods. Some of them have really expensive houses. Some of them have not so expensive houses as you find in most urban core areas of a city. And that's the heartbeat of Kansas City right there. If you keep going to the east, we get over into Lee Summit area. Lots of new construction going on there. And I'm probably going to do a whole other channel, a whole other playlist just on the new construction neighborhoods over there eventually. Go a little bit farther north, you get into Independence, Missouri. And then that's all down there. Then we have the river. And then north of the river, we call the Northland. I know, very creative. We call the Northland. We also, some people call it North Kansas City, but to be more clear, it's Kansas City North. And the reason I say that is because we actually have a city called North Kansas City. It's its own little city. Just as soon as you cross the river from downtown, North Kansas City is there. And so some people tried to make the differentiation between Kansas City North and North Kansas City. We also call it the Northland, and that's okay. So you'll see the Northland goes all the way up really to Smithville for sure. And some people consider it even going farther than that. So North Kansas City, Gladstone, a whole lot of Kansas City is in the Northland. The Kansas City proper is in the Northland. And then other cities like Smithville, Kearney, and our biggest one, our county seat, is it the biggest one? Yeah. Liberty, Missouri, up there in Clay County. The school districts up here are also pretty good. We have North Kansas City schools. Probably the majority of this is North Kansas City from the south part up. Once you get into Liberty, they have their own school district, also a great school district. Smithville, good. Platte County has their own school district. Back down south again over on the Platte side is Parkville South. All great school districts up in the Northland. You can't go wrong with any of that. Up in the Northland with shopping, really there's two big areas. We've got Berry Road. Berry Road is where everybody goes for just about everything up here in the Northland. That's the Chick-fil-A and the Target and Kohl's and the movie theater and Top Golf and all that's along Berry Road. I'll show you where that is. Although North Kansas City, that city that I was telling you about just across the river, North Kansas City, some people call it Northtown. It's got a lot of stuff going on too. It's got Chicken and Pickle. I don't know if you heard of Chicken and Pickle, but if you're moving to Kansas City, you got to go to Chicken and Pickle. There's also one in San Antonio and Wichita. But there's a lot of breweries down there, a lot of distilleries, just a really fun place to be down in North Kansas City for some fun. Then we got Berry Road. And of course, Liberty has all kinds of stuff up there as well for shopping and getting out and doing that sort of thing. All right, so that gets you a sort of an idea of what Kansas City is like and where we're going to be focusing. So let's talk about the real estate market. So here in Kansas City, like everywhere, it's been a little bit crazy lately, right? I'm filming this in April of 2022, and it's just been crazy. So right now, the average seller in February of 22, if you took the MLS and you averaged all the sales, it was the average was 311,000. Now I feel like that is a little bit misleading. It seems a little bit high. You can certainly find all kinds of great houses around here in Kansas City for $250,000, $250,000, something like that. But if you just take the average, $311,000 over there, that's up 8% over last year. It's just been going crazy, as it's been going all over the nation. But what about new homes? If you're building a new home, it's gonna be tough to get it at the 311,000 mark. Really, we're gonna begin. I mean, I might be able to find you one at the 380 to 400, but really, it's going to start low fours, and then the sky's the limit. When I looked at the MLS a few minutes ago, I think 1.7 million was the high end, but believe me, you can build more expensive than that if you want to. So, but even to get into new construction in the Northland, in Kansas City, you're probably going to start thinking around the low fours at the minimum. A lot of people are getting into this new construction idea because resale is so hard right now, right? You try to get a buyer into a resale house, and there's just so many buyers right now. And the demand, I mean, the supply just can't keep up with it. And so a lot of people are abandoning this whole idea of buying a resale house and say, it's too hard. I'm just going to go build one. I know I can get into it. I've got the time. And I'll talk about why it's going to take a little more time here in a minute. But the difficulty in getting into a resale house, a house that somebody's already lived in, is driving some people to the new home construction as well. Another thing about Kansas City new home construction is it's a lot of local guys. We don't have the big national builders, you know, the Pulte Homes and D.R. Hortons that some of the other big cities have. We are a lot of local builders. So we have a lot of builders, a bunch of them. They're all building good stuff, and they're far more flexible than the big national builders. You're going to like working with them because if you see a floor plan, you look, I like this, but I kind of want that door to be over there and this to move here. That they're generally kind of accepting of those ideas. Now you're going to pay for it, of course, but some of the big national builders are like, nope, you get what you get. So they're a lot more flexible around here, and they're good people. I think you'll like working with them. So let me do a little bit more vocabulary so that we know what we're talking about. We've got different kinds of new construction homes. We got what they call a spec home, speculative. That's when a builder builds a house from the ground up. you don't get to pick out anything. It's already built. They picked out all the granite, all the fixtures, all that kind of stuff. And they say, here it is. Do you want it or not? Right. That's a speculative home. They build it based on their specs. Then we have model homes, similar. They also build it to their specs, and they generally furnish these homes. And those are homes that you could walk in and look around to kind of see how they build the house. Generally not for sale yet. They will be eventually, but most of the model homes, you can't go say, I'm just going to buy this model home. You get out. Now, eventually you can do that, but generally that's not the case. Then what we have is called customizable. And that's what most people think of when they think of new home construction. That is a house where you go to a neighborhood and you talk to the builder, or you talk to the builder's agent there on site, and you pick the floor plan, and you pick the elevation, and you pick the lot. And then you start picking out all the things on the inside based on a floor plan that they already have created. That's called customizable. And that's what most people think of when they think of new construction. And then finally, we have just a pure custom home. Now, this is pretty uncommon, but we have some builders here that will this is generally for the high-end homes, but you just start from scratch and you start talking to the builder and the architect, and you just start building your house exactly the way you want it. Now, sometimes it starts from, they have a floor plan that they've created, but that's really just a base, and you can really just do whatever you want. And we have some builders here that do just purely custom homes like that as well. So let's talk a little bit about just the new home construction situation that that's going on right here. First of all, they're building them as fast as they can. They are building these houses as fast as they can. And that's very, very slow. Why? Because two things. One, we just don't have the materials that we need right now. You know this from whatever city you're in or being around here. It's just the supply chain is slow, and windows take forever, and paint takes forever, and doors take forever. So just the supply of our materials is pretty slow right now. But even more importantly is we just don't have enough of the tradespeople. And so a house will get ready for HVAC, and then it just sits around for a bit until those handful of there's a bunch of them. There's just not enough to meet our demand before the HVAC people can come in and do their work. And then we wait around for the carpenters. Then we wait around for the trim people. And so, you probably remember at some point when you were looking at new houses, you could get one built in 6 months, maybe 4 if everybody was kicking on all cylinders, right? But now that's just not the case. We're talking a year, 18 months to get a house from start to finish, just because we're waiting on so many things. So we need to take that into account. It means the time frames are all extended, which also means we need to talk about escalation clauses. Around here, they are a given. It's just going to happen. And so when you go and you purchase a house and you sign a contract for $650,000, you can count on the fact that there's going to be a change to that number as we progress, and the builders find out that all their lumber costs went up and all their window costs went up. They're going to pass that on to you, and they're going to come back to you and say, well, now instead of 650, now this house is 660 or 670, and that just gets passed on to you. Now, at that time, you can walk away. If they invoke the escalation clause, you don't have to buy the house. You get out of the contract and you'll generally get your earnest money back. But then what do? Then you just got to go start over with another builder or the same builder or something, and the whole thing is going to start over again. So I'm encouraging my buyers in new construction to just accept that, and I'll show you how we bake it in to make sure that we plan for that as well. By the time the framing is finished, you generally know the price of the house and whether or not they had to invoke that escalation clause. So one way that we can do it is a good friend of mine taught me about the 7-20-10 rule, and I use it all the time, and it's a pretty good rule. And here's the deal. If you come to me as a buyer and you say, hey, Jay, I want you to help me buy a new construction house in Kansas City, we're going to sit down and get to know each other, and I'm going to learn more about you and your family and what it is you need and what you don't need and what you're looking for in a house and all this. And one of the things that we're going to talk about is your price range. Are you going to write a big fat check for this much money, or you need to go to the bank and get a loan, whatever it happens to be? This is the most of the house that I can afford. $800,000 house is where that I want to be, $800,000. So I'm going to take that and apply the 70-20-10 rule. 70% of that money is going to go towards the base price of the house. So if you tell me $800,000, when we start looking at houses, we're going to look at the base price of the houses at 70% of that number. Then you're going to have 20% to spend on the lot. You're going to go pick out a lot premium. Maybe you're going to have a little bit nicer lot than just the standard lot. So you have 20% to spend on a lot. Maybe you spend it, maybe you don't. but probably you will. Then we have 10% of that number to spend on upgrades. If you want new cabinetry, different kind of cabinets, different kind of countertops, lighting fixtures, flooring, all those different things, we have 10% to spend on those things, those items, to make your house sort of like what you want your house to be. And now in this era of escalation clauses, I tell them, if we have an escalation clause, it's probably going to come out of that 10%. And there's a lot more to it. When we get to know each other, I'll go through all of those processes. But 70, 20, 10. Let's talk about what I do for good people like you. First of all, when you bring a realtor to new construction, if you bring me working for you, then I am literally a fiduciary. Your best interest has to go in front of my best interest every time. I represent you in the marketplace. It is me and you against the builder and the other agent. I represent you in the marketplace. I don't just assist you. I represent you, and my fiduciary responsibility is to you. That's different than if you just walk up to the listing agent on the property. They are there to assist you, but they represent the builder or the seller in that case. I would represent you. By the way, 70, 80% of all new home sales, the buyers are represented by a real estate agent. This is not a new deal at all. I am a broker both in Kansas and Missouri. I have my own company. Dwell Kansas City is my company, and I am the broker of that company. Then, of course, my market knowledge. You know, I'm out there spending my time getting to know the areas and the neighborhoods and the builders and the agents and the floor plans and all the things that are coming up to MLS that's not already on MLS, right? I'm out there talking to these people, so I know when they are about to release another floor plan, when they are about to open up another section, another phase of their community. I spend my time learning and researching all that so that I'm there for you when you need all of that information. And of course, I know the contracts and I know how to negotiate. First of all, I teach the courses that teach agents how to be real estate agents. And part of those is how to negotiate contracts. A builder can use basically any contract they want. Now, there's one that most of them use that the Kansas City Regional Association of Realtors promulgates. And I know that contract very, very well. But if another builder wants to use their own contract, then that's my responsibility to take it and fully understand all of the ins and outs so that I can explain it to you. If you just go with the contract with the agent there, they may or may not do a good job of explaining all the ins and outs of the ramifications of what happens when the escalation clause gets kicked in and all that. That's something that I spend my time learning so that I can benefit you through that. So here's the process. If you decide to buy a new house here in Kansas City, first thing, we're going to get together, you and I, a Zoom call or in person, and I'm going to get to know everything about you. We're going to talk all about why you're doing this and what your time frame is and what's important to you in a house. What do you like about the house you're living now? What do you hate about it? All of the different things. And then we're going to start filtering through the MLS and trying to find that house, or through my contacts with the builders. Then we're going to sign a buyer's agency agreement. Now, don't get scared, because I sign a 1-day buyer's agency agreement with you. If at any time, 1 day, 5 days, 10 days in, you say, Jay, I don't think you're the guy for me, I'm not going to hold you to any silly contract. I'll take you on that. We'll do the home searching through the MLS together. Then we'll go on the neighborhood tours, and I'll show you all the different neighborhoods, either virtually or in person. I will do all the contract review. And then, of course, it all begins. And there is a big, long process of how to build a house in Kansas City, and what happens first, what happens next, how many days, and all that kind of stuff. In fact, I've got a spreadsheet I'm happy to send you. It anticipates a 9-month build time. You put in the date that you want to close on the house, and then it adjusts all the time frames accordingly. And it has all the list of all the things that happen. If you want that, send me an email. I'll flash my email address up here on the screen, J@dwellkansascity.com. Send me a note that just says, hey, Jay, love the video. I'd love to see that time frame Excel spreadsheet, and I'll send that to you. I'll also send you, if you want, the agreement that you and I are going to sign that says I'm your buyer. I am your agent. You are my client. I'll also send you a blank one of those just so you can see what it looks like if you want. Ask me for that as well if you'd like. So that's it. That's the overview of new construction here. I would love very, very much to get some encouragement that I'm doing the right thing here. If you could subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, maybe hit that bell, all that sort of stuff. That would mean a lot to me. And hey, if you want to start having a conversation, just send me an email or call me on the phone. That's my cell phone number. I'll put it on the screen, and we can just talk about next steps. You can interview me, see if I'm the right guy for you. If you're not, let me know. I'll point you to another direction of another realtor that does really good work around here. So love to talk to you, and we'll talk soon. Thanks.